Northeast Historical Society, and I am privileged today to be able to lead a tour of those sites related to Mary Mead Clark and Reverend Edward Winter Clark in the towns of Amenia and Northeast. And I trust that what you learned today will be an encouragement to you and add to the celebration of the 150th anniversary. In 1773, but at this corner on the opposite side of the road, the Second Baptist Church, it was the first meeting house was just a log cabin in a cemetery, but they built a brick church in 1827 across the road here, and Reverend Edward Clark became a member of that church when he was baptized and joined the church in 1843. He was the minister at the time the church was built was Reverend Thomas Winter, and his parents admired that minister enough to give Edward Clark a middle name of Winter, and so Edward was given Reverend Winter's name as a middle name. And as I look through the history of the church records, I see that his parents both became believers, or at least were baptized and joined the church in times of revival services. And so it was also the case when Reverend Clark was a young man, about 13 years old, in 1843, that there was a series of revival services or special evangelistic services, and he was part of the group that was baptized and joined the church at the end of that period of time. Here at this corner, there was also an academy for high school age students, because there was a great respect for education and preparation for either the ministry or wherever God would be leading you. And so I thought that perhaps Edward Clark attended the academy here, but I found out no, he went to an academy in Worcester, Massachusetts that was a manual arts high school, and also majored in science and in mathematics and business. And so that school probably prepared him a great deal for the mission work, that he learned how to build bridges and work with a printing press and be very innovative and creative in a distant land like Nagaland. A piece of marble was originally in the wall of the brick church that was built at Spencer's Corners. And Reverend Edward Clark attended that church up at Spencer's Corners. His parents helped to build the church in 1828. And so when that church was torn down and they decided to build this church in the village of Millerton, just a mile south, they brought this along with them in memory of that brick church. And so it sometimes confuses people because they think that this wooden church was built in 1868. But no, this was started in 1867 or 1828.
And a lot done to it.
Right.
I don't know if the pews are original or not. I mean, a lot's been done. We put in a ceiling here, not we, but many years ago they had to do that because of the weight of the slate, pushing the roof down.
Oh,
so they had to put that in and cables.
Okay.
But substantially, the building is, the same design as what it was in 1871 when they completed it. It took 4 years to build
It took 4 years.
Yeah,
wow.
1867 to 1871.
In fact, at the time of the groundbreaking for this church, that would have been in 1867. Yeah, that was just the year before he left for Assam, India. And he actually had his supporting church or his sending church from Indiana, where he had gone for his first pastorate in 1859. And then within a year or so, he was hired by the mission magazine that was called The Witness. And he learned or already knew how to do the printing press. And his wife helped with the editing. And so God was preparing them for a ministry in Assam and in Nagaland as well, where he would be doing just that, publishing the first books, the hymn books, the primers for the schoolwork, the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Matthew, the story of Joseph, all of these books that Reverend Clark and his wife put together. And he was hired first for the mission in Assam to be their printing press master for their publications, because they had a school for young men and girls and boys, I think, in Assam, before the Clarks moved up to the hills. And then later he moved up there without his wife to a village where they were kind of testing the waters and trying to get a fellowship started. And more people were baptized then, 15 more were baptized. And but as time went on, they saw that trying to stay in that first village where there was a mix of animism and the old traditions and the Christianity was just an uphill battle, and there was persecution. So they decided to leave and start a new village, not too far away, but on a mountaintop. And that is where